Yeah.
I've been looking forward to doing this for so long. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am
Sami
at
here.
I'm here address him by his proper titles. I am at the Redeemed Gospel Church
Redeemed Gospel Church
of Kenya, Embakasi. This is
International.
International. With me is a good friend of mine, Pastor Sam Waka. Pastor Sam Waka is we've worked we never used to. Well, we worked together for many years. But so
Close to 10.
Close to 10. Reverend Sam Waka, but you can also call him Pastor Sam. He's a man I deeply respect, and we are family friends. We've been through some good times and some really down times. Pamoja. She's married to a good woman. Her name is Jane, and they have a son,
Nathaniel.
So as I drove in here, I noticed that the church, there's a school within the church.
Yeah, we have a school since 2004 actually. So that's 13 years. My parents actually have been running the school. So I recently came here start of mid 2016. Yeah, is when I came here to give support to my mom, who's actually leading the school.
So why a school? Of course, it seems obvious, but maybe you can tell us why a school, especially why a church and a school.
Why a school? There's need for schools, in everywhere. But then us guys have space. We have space, and we thought, a good way to reach out to the community and respond to the needs in the community, one of the things we thought to do is have a school. And so we have a school that has about close to 300 children. And we've done KCP, I think this year will be the 7th time to do KCP, sorry. And so, a school just helps us to respond to the needs of the community, but then also to have a wider reach in the community. Because when the kids come here, and we take good care of them, they are our ambassadors out there. So that's why we have a school.
How did you end up, maybe first of all, as a pastor, and how did you end up working for the church?
How did I end up working for the church? Good question. My parents are pastors. So my father has been a pastor. He passed on 2 years ago, but started pastoring, I think, in 1973 or 74. I'm not too sure. And so, he's been a pastor. So I've grown up in a pastor's home, and my mom is a pastor. And so...
being a pastor is not, quote-unquote, considered cool. I'm sure your peers are doing... The guys you grew up with are doing other things.
For sure.
But why did you choose to go into this line?
Interesting question. I felt the call of God, and I don't even know how to define that. But in 2007, at the end of 2007, mid 2007, I was working with some guys called Emerging Young Leaders Africa, and then I moved and started working with Pastor Milton Jumba, Mavuno Church, and we had set up an office doing capacity building for church organizations and other organizations. My primary focus was church organizations. Pastor Milton was doing safety management. And so we came together and we set up an office. And during our time together, Milton is a Shpiri guy, so he prayed for me, and I knew that God wanted me to do ministry, but I was afraid But then during my interaction with him, that call became clear. And so he brought me forms for internship at Nairobi Chapel. So I filled out the forms. In 2008, I was an intern for 3 months at Nairobi Chapel. Then I was moved to Mavuno. But why a pastor? I felt the call and I responded to that call. Yeah.
What are some of the things you like about your line of work? And what are some of the things that you really don't like that you can comfortably share? There are some you might say, guys don't come to church on Sunday.
I just don't want to talk about money. But I mean, what I like is that I have the opportunity to influence lives not even every weekend, every day. Because like now I am the lead pastor here and we have a community of about 400 people. And I mean, so those people look up to me to lead them spiritually, but also in many other ways. And so the thing I love about my job is that I have an opportunity to influence people and many people every day. That I really love. I love that I'm my own boss.
You're your own boss.
I get to manage my time. I get to plan my day. It doesn't mean that I am careless with my time, but then just the flexibility that I can actually wake up in the morning, give my son breakfast, get him ready for school, and not feel pressed for time. That, I mean, I love that about it. It allows me to have good enough time with my family. There can be demand on your time as a pastor and people wanting you to respond to all their needs. But if you're able to define what is important to you, and for me, what is important to me is my family. And so defining that at the onset then allows you to have enough time for your family. And that, for me, I love about my work. So I love that I have the opportunity to influence people. I love that I am in charge of my own time. I love that I am my own boss, quote unquote. And I mean, that gives me joy. The things that I don't like, you lead people, and I mean, sometimes you feel like they don't appreciate. They might say things like, you should have done a better job at this. So, I mean, that sometimes feels very, not bad, what would I call it? I don't know how to call it. But then, I mean, when you feel like you're leading people and you have given of your time and you feel like, the people that you're leading don't feel like you're doing good enough, then that, I mean, doesn't feel so good.
Yeah. I have a question. Maybe we can talk about the elephant in the room. The reputation for, or at least one of the elephants in the room, the reputation about the church, especially now, is that it's basically a cash cow for like, it just milked people. How is that like, especially for someone like you, who has walked into this kind of space? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I get where you're coming from. And I think lack of accountability, I know for most of these churches that don't have structures, and when I say structures, I don't mean buildings, I mean, money management structures, human resource management structures. Where there are no structures, then you find that, I as the pastor, I am everything. And so I determine how I use my money. I determine how I use, when I say my money, I mean the church money. And so, there are no controls. And because there are no controls, then we find ourselves misusing the resources that people have given to us to do God's work. And so I think what needs to happen is that we need to be intentional and have structures that will keep us accountable. And in that way, then we will avoid, what you're calling lack of credibility in the church. The church needs to have structures. The beauty about, and I want to think, because things are changing for us here at Embakasi, I want to think that it is the same across. We have a new crop of leaders coming up, and this new crop of leaders, and let me talk about Redeemed Gospel Church. We have a new crop of leaders coming up. And this new crop of leaders is keen on putting in structures, is keen on just making sure that this thing works. Because what I learned as an intern in Mavuno, doing a leadership class that Pastor Mureithi was taking us through, is that the church is the hope of the world. And we have to put ourselves in such a way that we are able then to influence and bring back the credibility so that then we are the hope of the world.
Like, we're in the heat of things in terms of politics. So, first of all, what is the role, what is our role as constituents of wherever for us it's Embakasi, but for maybe other guys it's elsewhere. But what's the role of, how do we get involved in the process?
We need to get involved. And right now we are just, nominations have ended for most political parties. They have chosen flag bearers for the different seats for MCA, for MPs, and I'm sure. Most of us did. I did not go out to vote, and I have an excuse. I was out for a conference, but that should not be a good excuse. It's not a good enough excuse. We need to get involved. We need to, because then the kind of leaders that we choose, I feel, will determine how Embakasi will be for us. And therefore we need to come out and really get involved. And Embakasi is interesting. I feel like there are two groups of people. I don't know if that's a good way to classify people. There's the middle level, what we call middle class, who are many but are largely uninvolved, and there's the low income people who are, I don't know who's more. I don't know if it's the middle or the lower income. My suspicion is the lower income is more. And those people are very involved. They are the ones, when you're walking back home, when you're driving back, they're the people who you will see walking around campaigning. But we who are middle class people, we don't get involved. And I think for us to be able, everyone's voice is important, and we need to get out there and be involved. If you have missed the nominations, then it is important for you then to get involved in August when we'll be choosing leaders, so that then we don't say that we don't like this leader and you didn't get involved, you didn't do anything. I think it will be important for us to really get involved, because our voice counts, and we need to get out there and vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason why people don't care to be involved as much as they should is the feeling that there's no point, that you're choosing from a set of bad leaders, which, as a generalization, because there's many good people out there. So, and I think part of that is because there's been no factory for good leaders, and I think places like this, churches and all those, are a good place to develop those leaders. And for me, the question is, why do we have churches and good churches or places like this, and we still end up with some useless leaders?
It's very unfortunate that, our politics does not attract our best leaders. But for me, Wamai, I feel we shouldn't give up. Yes, we don't have the best leaders, And maybe those good leaders fear to get involved, either because it is costly, or I mean, you just think, I'll get involved and it won't make any sense because I will not be given the nomination papers anyway. But I feel that we should get involved anyway. I don't know if this is an appropriate illustration. The way you say you hit a rock until it cracks. I think we just need to keep hitting. And the more we hit, the more it cracks. And one day, one time, this hard rock will give in. And I am sure in the days to come, we will have good leaders. Because there are good leaders out there. Maybe they don't have resources to be able to campaign, or they come to us and we don't believe them enough. But we shouldn't give up. They are good leaders, and I am sure in the years to come we will get those good leaders in Parliament and in our county assemblies and in the different levels of leadership.
And what's the role that a church like this would commit to in terms of getting those leaders out? How does the church do that? And how does it play a role where, irrespective of whatever political party you're siding with, then you have some form of support and, like you're saying, accountability, but then also that the church is bringing up?
I think what we need to do, not only as this community here, but as churches, is to encourage those good leaders. And maybe, I don't know if it would mean then saying, fronting them and saying, this is the leader that we have. Let's go out and vote for him. This is what he's going to do. Maybe we should begin to front those leaders and encourage them, support them where we can, and just pray for them and send them out. I think that's what we need to do. We need to now begin to identify leaders and send them out with our full support. If you have a huge congregation, then get all those people to vote for your good leader. Yeah.
And isn't that a bit controversial? That's unlike because some people would say your work is to be neutral. So that whether I am in this party or this party and I come here, how does that work out? Like, how do you walk that line between endorsing a certain leader but still?
That's an interesting question. Yeah, but it can actually, but I don't know, and I stand to be corrected. Maybe in some issues, the church should not be neutral. And there are many pastors who will watch this and they will help us. Maybe the church needs to add its voice onto many things very intentionally. Because I think when you are neutral, then you are unable to lead people. You are unable to give directions. I think in certain cases, if you come to our church and we feel, Wamai is a great leader, what he's proposing to do for Embakasi is great, we think he's credible, I think it will be good for us then to support. You probably might come and you're not from the majority political party, but then because you have what the people of Embakasi need, then we'll say, here is Wamai, he's a good leader, he's from amongst us, we have worked with him, and he will do great things for this constituency, why don't we choose him? And so, maybe being neutral is not what we need all the time. I might be right, I might be wrong. Whoever will be the leader after August 8th, I feel there are two things that we need to do. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 13, it says, "Submit yourselves for the Lord's sake to every human authority, whether to the emperor as the supreme authority or to the governors who are sent by him to punish those who do wrong and to commend those who do right. And so I feel, whoever becomes a member of parliament, whoever becomes our MCA, whoever becomes our governor, our president, our role is to submit in regards to leadership. Romans chapter 13, verse 1 says, "Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established." And I feel, that should be our role after August 8th, and even now, because there are leaders in place, we need to submit to those leaders because that is God's will. But then we also need to pray for them. 1 Timothy chapter 2 says that we need to pray for those that are in leadership. I urge then, first of all, that petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for everyone, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. And so we have two roles: to pray and to submit to the leadership that God has put in place. Whoever is our MCA now, whoever will be our MCA after August 8th, whoever is our MP now, whoever will be our MP then, whoever is our governor now, whoever will be the governor, whoever is our senator, whoever will be the senator, whoever is the president now, whoever will be the president, we have two roles: to submit to that authority and to pray for them. And I feel that should be our role. What is our agenda for Embakasi? As I said earlier, the church is the hope of the world, and so we need to be able to respond to the needs of the community here, and there are many things that we are trusting God for, so that we may be able to be of impact to this community. There's a lot of hopelessness. There's a lot of unemployment among the youth, and our prayers that we'll be able to do something to that end, so that we may be able to impact the lives of the youth and to be able to impact the lives of the young children around here. We want to grow our school so that then we are able, by God's grace, God allowing us, we want to have a school that is affordable, so and of high standards, so that then we have the community has a place to bring their children, where they can get good and quality education. There's need for medical care. Our prayers that we'll be able to, we have a lot of space. Our prayers that we'll be able to offer medical care to the community around here, that will be affordable. There are many people who cannot be able to afford. The cost of medical care is high, and there are many people who cannot be able to afford that. Our prayers that we'll be able to have a medical facility, not so big, but enough to be able to respond to the small needs that are in our community. And so there are many things that we would want to do. It might not be very soon, but in the next 2, 3, 4 years, we want to believe that our impact around here will change.
That's awesome, and I hope it happens.
Yep.
I look forward to coming back and telling a story of some of the things that have been happening. I'm sure, of course, already there's stuff that's been happening. So I look forward to that.
Yep.
Anything else?
I'm a pastor. Should I pray?
We'll pray after this.
Okay.
But you can send to this number. So yeah, this is Pastor Sam.
Yeah.
If you live in the Embakasi area and are looking for a place where you want to go to church, or just a place where you want to explore religion, Christianity, come to Redeemed Gospel Church, Embakasi. Like I said, there are some things which Pastor Sam may have said that you disagree with, but by and large, institutions like this help do the work that people are not doing. So find a community. Maybe one day we'll have a conversation about the other religions represented, how you guys can work together to build the community. Maybe another day. But yeah, maybe out there who you're not an artist, but you're aspiring to a role like Pastor Sam's, something that's like being a pastor or a community leader. Man, like, do it.
Do it.
Let's go for it, man. If that's your thing, do it with everything you've got, because there's room for all those gifts. Say something in the comment section. Maybe add to what has been said. Feel free to disagree. Yeah, and let's just keep talking. Keep the conversation clean and civil. Yeah.
See you on Sunday.
See you on Sunday.